Okay, so I've completed the installation of the T111 siding on all the walls, even up in the gabled walls. Before I install the ceiling, I need to go ahead and rough in for my electrical. My electrical is going to be up in the ceiling, but it's going to be surface mounted in conduit on the walls. So before I can install the ceiling, I'm going to have to install all of my branch circuits from the branch circuit location, make a home run back to the panel, which is what I'm going to do next. Get all my branch circuit wiring installed, or at least roughed in, and then I'll be able to install another 2 inches of insulation on the ceiling, and then just plywood decking for the ceiling. That way there's no drywall involved in this shop renovation project. T111 siding on the walls, just stained or whitewashed plywood on the ceilings. The T111 siding on the walls will get stained, so the walls will have stain. The ceiling will just be a whitewash, which will help with the illumination and the lighting of the shop. And that's it. So the next thing we're going to do is start installing the branch circuit wiring. At this time, all we're going to do is run the Romex. Nothing else. Once we get all the Romex in, then we're going to start installing the 2-inch ceiling insulation underneath the 1-inch, and then start installing the plywood decking for the ceiling. Okay, so a pro tip when installing Romex, it's best to keep the wrapping, the shrink wrapping on the Romex, and pull the Romex from the center. That way the packaging can all stay intact. I'll show you what I mean. Take a look. So that's the proper way for undoing Romex. Just take it from the center. You'll be able to pull it out, cut off what you need, and then the roll stays intact. That way you don't have a spider web going everywhere. So that's the best way to unpack your Romex. Okay, so here I'm going to start with the branch circuit wiring at the miter saw station. You can probably see the back of the dust collection hood of the miter saw. So this is the north wall of the workshop, and it's actually the northeast side, which is where my miter saw station has always been. I am going to go back and rebuild the miter saw station once the workshop renovation is complete, and kind of clean it up, and instead of going with a sliding compound miter, go with probably a new Bosch compound sliding miter saw that doesn't take up as much room. That way you can mount it right up next to the wall, and the actual saw doesn't sit off from the wall because of the sliding arm. So here I'm just running the branch circuit, which in this case I think is 2 wire and a ground, number 12. I'm just feeding it through the trusses back to the electrical panel, which is on the far west wall, which you can kind of see there in the background. Okay, now that I have the home run back to the electrical panel, I just want to make sure that I have enough conductors lengthwise to get to the electrical panel and to make all the connections there at the electrical panel to the breaker. And once I've got that and I know I've got enough conductors, I'm just going back and installing some Romex staples just to clean it up a little bit. This is all going to be concealed inside the electrical chase that I'm going to build out once I'm done with all the electrical. But for right now, I'm just installing some Romex staples, again, just to clean it up. And also, once I'm done with the Romex staples, I'm going to label the wiring so I know which circuit that wire is for, and in this case it'd be for the miter saw station. So once I get the Romex installed here in the chase, I'll just coil up the excess and then go ahead and label it, so when I do go back to wire it to the panel and breaker, I'll know which circuits that I'm wiring up. Now I'm going back to the miter saw station, and I'm going to go ahead and cut the wire, leaving myself enough room to at least hit the first outlet on that wall, and then once I wire up that outlet, I'll branch off of that outlet and probably hit 3 more outlets. And you can see the Romex is still coiled up inside the wrapper, and that's really the way to unroll Romex while you're installing it, is to just keep it in the wrapper. And you can see it's just straight up the wall and then over the trusses, and it just runs all the way down to the electrical panel. Okay, I've got all my branch circuit home runs installed all the way back to the panel, and I just used some Romex staples just to staple and try to clean everything up here at the panel. Also at the panel, I'm going to be building an electrical chase, so all this is going to be enclosed with T111 siding. So let me show you what that looks like. So there's the Romex staples coming all the way down the wall. I think another set of Romex staples. And then I've just coiled the excess up for here for right now. And there's the panel. So when it comes time, I can just uncoil all the conductors and then go ahead and wire up the panel. One other thing too is after I got done installing all the branch circuit home runs back to the panel, I just wanted to show everyone what I had left as far as the Romex wire. So here's what it looks like. Like I had said earlier, the pro tip as far as unwinding it from the inside, this is what you'll be left with. So that's it. I've got probably, another maybe 10, 12 feet of wire left in there, which I'll probably use later in the project, but not right now for home runs. I'm going to have to go back and buy some more number 12 2-wire and a number 12 3-wire for my air compressor. And I've got 2 more circuits to install. And once I get those installed, then it's nothing but ceiling insulation and then the plywood decking for the ceiling. Okay, so I didn't want to bore you with just showing me running branch circuits back and forth to the panel. So, that's pretty much just rinse and repeat. Every branch circuit is the same thing. You just start at that location and run it back to the main panel. But I did want to go around the workshop and show you the different branch circuits that I installed. All right, so let me show you. Okay, so starting here on my north wall, this is the branch circuit that I showed you guys installing back to the home run. This is where the miter saw station is going to go. This is my existing miter saw station. So once I get the shop renovation complete, I'll go ahead and push this back in place, and I'll temporarily use this miter saw station until I can upgrade, which will be a future project. So what I plan on doing is just installing 3 horizontal outlets along this portion of the wall from the corner to the window, and that will supply the miter saw, or the future miter saw station. And then here at the window, I installed a number 12 3-wire and a ground branch circuit. Here at the window, this is where the dust collector will go. So one of the future projects is I want to get this ducted to the exterior of the workshop. But for right now, I'm just going to leave it as is. But so that's a 2-phase 3 horsepower dust collector. So that will require 3-wire and a ground. And then I've got another branch circuit here that's just 2-wire and a ground, number 12, and that will feed 3 outlets from the window to this corner, and that will feed my vertical sander, belt sander, and my horizontal belt sander, along with which you probably can't see with all the stuff on it, but that's my router table. So those 3 pieces of equipment will go along that wall and will be fed by that branch circuit. And then so that wraps up the north wall. So for the the east wall, I've got a branch circuit that will come down and hit 3 outlets on this wall, which will feed my drill press and my bandsaw. And I've also got an overhead outlet up here that will drop down. It'll just be a retractable outlet that will feed the scroll saw table and the grinder. So those 2 pieces of equipment will just be here in the open. And then of course the wall behind that is the lumber rack, and there's no outlets in that portion of the wall. And then on the south wall, I've got a branch circuit that will hit 3 outlets from the window to that corner, which will be for the lathe. And then I've got another branch circuit on this side of the window, which will feed 3 outlets that will just hit miscellaneous stuff, future items that I put along that wall. And then on the west wall, I have a number 12 3-wire that that will feed my 80-gallon air compressor. And then I also have just regular outlets for that part of the wall as well. And then I've got another circuit here which will feed 2 outlets along this wall, I think maybe 3, which will feed the refrigerator, and I also have a sink along that wall as well. So that pretty much wraps up the different circuits. And I did go ahead and run a 14 2-wire and a ground Romex for the lighting. So other than that, I think that's probably it. Now my lighting is on a 3-way switch. So not only did I run 2-wire and a ground from one switch to the other, you have to run 3-wire and a ground to make it work as a 3-way switch. So I've done that as well. So, but again, the trimming out will all be done in a future video. This was just for the installation of the branch circuit wiring, so I could go ahead and start finishing up the 2-inch insulation on the ceiling, and then finish up the plywood installation on the ceiling. Well, that's going to wrap up this video on branch circuit wiring. I hope this video helps you in your project. If you like the video, please subscribe and please hit that notification button. Now get out there and create, build, and inspire. And as always, pay it forward. I'm Rick, and this is the Ingrain Workshop. I'll see you next week.